they all will leave you. All of them will leave you. Each and every last cruise line ship will leave you behind if you are not back on time. I want to talk about this family once again. And there's nothing bad. There's nothing bad on that. I just don't understand the story. I just don't understand how how they will be left behind if they book an excursion from the cruise line. How can they be left behind? I just don't get it. I just don't understand it. I mean, there's a lots of things to figure out. There's this family from Oklahoma, not Ohio, Oklahoma. They are from Oklahoma and they're traveling the cruise line ship, and they were stuck strandedly in Alaska, and they experienced this tragic nightmare. Mostly it was the kids that suffered. And my state of mind's opinion, right? And my state of mind's opinions, I believe that they have lost track of time. They went to this show called The Lapperjack. I have researched it and looked it up. God forbid, I don't know how long was the show. But yes. Yes, they went to the show, The Lapperjack. If I don't I don't know how long was the show, because they know, if they know they had a cruise ship to get back on, if they had a cruise ship they know they had to return to get back to, why spend all this time to watch a show when you can do it at any types of arrangements if you're not coming from a cruise. But bump that. Let me make sense with this thing. Let me try to make sense here. I think once they went to see this show, they have lost track of time and didn't realize what time it was. They are. I'm counting right now. So there's 6 children. One is big. She should have known the time. One is a big girl. She should have known the time. See, when these kids, when they grow up, hopefully when they grow up, I'm hoping that they realize and understand when they get older that it might have been their parents' fault, and it was the parents that put them in this situation. If to me personally, I don't do excursions. I really don't do excursions because I usually do my own stuff. I do my own thing, and I know what time to get back. If the ship leaves at 3 o'clock or 3:30, I will be back between 1 o'clock or 1:30. I will head back and call for a ride, a taxi, between 12 o'clock to 12:30. a bit earlier, because you cannot play. You cannot fool around with this company. You can't fool around with this time. You can't fool around with this kind of time. That's what I would do. If the ship is leaving at 4 o'clock or 4:30, I will be back between 2 o'clock or 2:30. I will head back. I will head back between 1 o'clock to 1:30, 1 o'clock to 1:15. At least that's supposed to give me lots of time to return. Yes, the ship will be there the whole day, but it's not going to be there all night. If the ship is leaving at 5 o'clock or 5:30, I will be back between 3 o'clock. I will be back at 3 o'clock to 3:30. I'm leaving. I'll leave wherever I'm at. I will leave and head back between 2:15 to 2:20 to 2:30 and get right back to the Docks Pier Port. Right back to the cruise docks Pier Port. If the ship leaves at 6 or 6:30, I will head back. I will head back. I will be back at 4 o'clock. I will be back at 4 o'clock or 4:30. And I will call for a ride. I will call for a ride at between 3 to 3:15 to 3:30. You can't fool around with time. You can't fool. I mean, but if you book for an excursions, there is no way in hell you will miss that ship. No way, no way. Because my question is, why would it? My advice is this. Let me put myself in shoes. My advice is this. They should have been the first ones at that bus stop. They should have been the first ones there, because there's 9 of them. There is 9 of them with 6 children, and they gotta grow. She might be 18. That's a big girl. So make it 5. So with that being said, I mean this is really, I believe this is their downfall. But I want to play this video, and the next time give my advice, and take this advice, because it's been discussed so many times on the news media. They have talked about it, discussed it multiple times, like thousands of times. They have talked about it 1 million times. 1 million times. It's been discussed 1 million times. It's been discussed 2 billions of times. Do not be late coming back to the cruise ship. This is not a joke. This is absolutely no joke. If I'm cruising, right? I will make sure of time. First and foremost, I will set my time. I will set my time zone, knowing that you're going to a different country, but there was in a state. But I will set up my time zone. Then I will go to the guest table. I will go to the guest table, and I will make sure when that ship is leaving. Knowing it says the time, because sometimes they might change schedule. There might have been some types of change. Now, if the schedule have changed, if there's been a bit of changes, that's understandable. That's totally understandable. But my thing is this: they should have been paying attention and staying on track, and staying alert of time. They should have been paying attention of the track of time. They should have been focusing on the time limit, because these ships will take off with or without you. In each and every last one of them, they will all leave you. Period. All of them will leave you. So I'm going to start up with this video and let it play.
Family living an Alaskan nightmare this week. They say that a cruise line stranded their family of 9 in the last frontier, abandoned their bags, and fined them nearly $9,000. Thank you for joining me tonight. I'm Kara Morrison. Naomi Kidd is off this evening. That is our top story right now. Studios Oklahoma's Brayden Bates met with the family.
Yeah, cruisers will get fined for that.
Answers after their traumatic experience.
That family is now back in Tulsa, but they're still feeling that pain as they watch their home for a week float off without them.
We're still looking into it. We haven't forgotten about you. And I was like, no, we feel like you pretty much forgot about us when you left us in port and told us to go figure it out.
It was a family reunion trip on the Norwegian Encore. Just days into the journey, 9 of the family members were stranded in Ketchikan, Alaska after a bus mix-up.
See the chaos on getting onto the buses. We go to get on the bus and somebody, one of the attendees is like, bus is full. And, we got to wait for the next bus.
Josh. Sir. Y'all shouldn't have been late in the beginning. If you guys were not late in the first place, this would have never ever happened. You guys would have never experienced this nightmare. Josh, you are a grown man, Josh. You are an adult. You're a grown man. You as the man, you was one man. You was just one man. You supposed to be the head of the household. You supposed to be the man of the household. That means you supposed to be the head of charge. You're supposed to be taking charge, because the man is over woman. It's in the Bible. The man is over woman. You should have been alerted and gather each and every last one of your family members up. Gather each and every last one of them up. Your wife, your mother, or mother-in-law. But instead, I think you might have allowed them, because there's 3 women. They must have been looking around somewhere while they were off track of time. But you as the man, you're supposed to be the head. You're supposed to be in charge. You should have. How I'm going to put this. You should have got them back to the cruise port on time. You as the man, you should have gathered, you should have rounded them up, and let everybody know, including your wife, honey, it's time to go. Honey, we have to go. We don't got time to be looking around. We don't got time to be looking around at each and every last stores. We got to go. We are on a time schedule. We got to go. We got to be the first ones there. And speaking of that, y'all should have been the first ones at that bus stop. They couldn't take you guys. They couldn't take any more of you guys, because the bus was full, which, I understand that. But if the driver was wrong, then the driver should be held responsible. But still, y'all still shouldn't have been late to that bus stop. Y'all should have been the first ones back on that bus stop. You should have brought them back on that bus stop in time. You as a man of the household, you as the man, you should have brought them back at that bus stop. And y'all should have been the first ones in that bus. Y'all should have been the first one at the bus stop, and the first ones right in that bus. The first ones in that bus. And if you guys couldn't get on, if there was no way, then you call a taxi. You call for a cab. You call a taxi cab or an Uber or a Lyft. I don't know how long. I don't know how long the ride would take. I don't know how long the Lyft or the Uber would take if you have any of that on your phone. I don't know how long. But the bottom line is, y'all shouldn't have been late back to the bus stop in to begin with. Because if you guys were not late, this would have never ever happened. This would have never taken place.
A bus that never came. After calling the Port Authority, a van came to pick up the family, but it was too late. They watched as clothes, medication, passports, and the rest of their belongings sailed off without them.
You know, it was a nightmare. 6 kids on board, minor children, 70-year-old mother-in-law, all on medication. We all had to quit cold turkey medication these last 4 days because it was all on the cruise ship.
Without passports, the family couldn't meet the ship at the next port in Canada. That launched a multi-day journey home.
Maybe you should sit.
The trip consisted of numerous cities, baggage pickup, canceled flights, and overnight airport stays.
All the flights for 9 people, all the food for 9 people, hotel stays.
All on the family's dime. Joshua Galt says the cruise line also issued a $971 fine per person for missing the ship. He says their credit cards were charged nearly $9,000 the morning after. This was as they were purchasing flights and hotels to get home.
You know, Norwegian treating this like it was a customer service issue rather than an emergency is, I think, the worst part about it.
While the family is relieved to be home, the aftermath continues. Galt tells me some of their family has COVID.
So, yeah, we're beat down right now. We're in LP beat down. It sucks.
I reached out to Norwegian Cruise Lines around 5 p.m. Monday, 24 hours before my deadline. They responded to me just before 4 p.m. Tuesday, asking for an additional 24 hours to respond. We will keep you updated on that response. In Tulsa, Braden Bates, 2 News, Oklahoma.
I'm sorry you had to experience this living nightmare. And yes, I mean nobody doesn't want to live with this living nightmare. But I mean, just like I said, when the day you guys booked the vacation, the day you guys booked, before any of this so-called tragic nightmare happened, before any of this. Once you guys once you guys looked at the vacation trip, right? Once you guys booked your journey, before you guys book your journey, it shows you the places they're going to be going to. They show you the different places they're going to be going to, the time they're going to be arriving, and the time they'll be leaving. So I'm so damn darn surprised that why the news media didn't didn't you guys look that time? Didn't you guys check time? Didn't you guys check the time? Didn't you guys see what time it was?
One Oklahoma family.
You see, if I was this is Fox weather. If I was on Fox, if I was the news report, right? If I was a news reporter, if I was interviewing the family, I would ask you, did you see what time it was? Did you know what time the ship was leaving? Did you know what time you were supposed to be back? I mean, I don't think nobody feels bad about this. I really believe that you guys messed up. This was each and every last one of your downfalls. I can't blame the children. I can't point it out the children because they're young. They're too small. They're small. They the ones that had to suffer. If you guys were not late and to begin with, none of this would have never happened. None of this would have never taken place. Your family wouldn't have to suffer. But you guys had to spend a whole bunch of lots of money to get back home. You guys lost a lot of money, lots of money. And I'm so sorry about this. I'm so sorry about this. I'm so sorry you had to live this nightmare. But this is what you got to do. This is, I mean, you learn the easy way or the hard way. It's the easy way or the hard way. And you guys had to learn the hard way, both you and your wife and your mother-in-law. What I'm thinking, they was the one. I'm thinking they was the one. Your wife and your mother-in-law, they was the one taking up time. They was the one. They was the one BSing around. They was the ones doing other stuff. I'm thinking they was the one. They was the one that was. But you as a man, you as a grown man, I would say, hey, honey, we have to go. It's time for us to go. We got to go, and we got to go right now. If I was a father, and if I had 6 children, and I had my wife or my mother or my mother-in-law, I wouldn't allow this to happen. I wouldn't allow this to happen. So I think you guys need. You guys have a lot of thinking to do. What you guys should have done. What you guys should have done, and what you guys should have did, and what should have been done. About the mistakes, the big mistakes you have made, and put your children through this.
Was left high and dry at a remote Alaska after an off-boat excursion kept them on land long enough for the Norwegian cruise line ship to leave without them. The family of 9 was stuck without their passports and medications. To make matters worse, the cruise line then charged the family of $9,000 in customs fees. We did reach out to Norwegian Cruise Line for a statement, and here's what they had to say. Quote, on the afternoon of Friday, July 12th, a family of 9 guests missed the ship's all-aboard time due to a misstep by a local tour operator. When the guests did not return to the ship at the published time, we attempted to contact them, but were unable to reach them. That a spokesperson.
Norwegian did reach out to the Norwegian did reach out to them. I'm just wondering why they never got back. But Norwegian did reach out to them. So this is just a bit about a shocking to me. Norwegian charged them $9,000. I don't know why. I don't know the story, but I mean, let's
for Norwegian. Tell us more about their story is Joshua and Keelan Goltz. Thank you so much for coming on to Fox Weather. This is an absolute nightmare. I can't imagine what you and your family had endured. The cruise line calling this incident a quote misstep by a local tour operator. What do you call it?
What do we call it? Well,
Call it a nightmare, to be honest. This was just one of those situations where communication broke down in every aspect, from the tour bus guide to whoever contacts the person counting on the ship to whoever makes that decision to pull that gangway. And there was no communication other than us calling the port authority and the port authority calling the ship and letting them know what's going on. So unfortunately, that's when I say nightmare, that's what I mean by nightmare. And Kayla can kind of talk to you more about the steps of that, and being with 6 children and her mother who's 78 years old. It was tough. It was tough.
traveling with so many people and so many young children is a huge undertaking, and so that's why we booked through NCL. This was an NCL sponsored excursion. We intentionally booked through them because my mother was a passenger on the Norwegian Dawn that back in March, that those passengers got left behind. And
how come she didn't make it back this time?
we wanted that peace of mind and that assurity that this ship will not leave without you. on NCL's website, they state very clearly
No, no, no.
you will never be left behind on an NCL
I don't know if you
excursion.
guys can see that, but I believe it's number 7. And you can go right on their website and it'll tell you, you know, if you do if you're booked your short.
Okay, let me. You're showing it
I believe
closer.
it's number 7. And you can go right on there.
Okay. You'll never miss the boat with Norwegian Cruise Line shore excursions. That's not the point. That's not the point. Because what I'm thinking they might have did their own thing. I'm thinking they might have did their own thing, and which, you know, that's fine. If they were doing their own thing, then why book got the cruise line excursions if they was willing to do their own thing? Because I mean, one thing, I don't know, was it supposed to be a tour? I don't know. But me personally, I don't do excursions. I don't do excursions. Just like I said in the beginning, I don't do excursions because I literally do my own. I literally do my own thing. I usually go to the beach. I usually go to the beach and chill and have fun. Go to the beach, and if I get tired, if I get tired of the water, if I'm ready to go, I'm ready to go, and it's time to go. But what I always do, I always keep track of time. I always keep track of time, and that's something that this story. Yes, I always keep track of time. Now back to them. The story still doesn't make any sense, because if you book from the shore excursions, you will never be left behind, and that's true. Only if you are not late. Only if you're not late. Because my question is this: why didn't they get to the bus? Why do not the bus stop in time? Okay, let's play more of this.
Their website, and it'll tell you if you're booked your shore excursions with Norwegian Cruise Line directly, they'll always wait for you, even for the tardiest of tours, to return to their ship before sailing. More valuable peace of mind. In this.
Oh, okay. I guess it's that why they took their time, because they believed and thought that the cruise line would never leave them. They thought and believed that the cruise line would not leave them behind. So is that why they took their time? No. Whatever it was, their thoughts was all wrong. That's why they had to suffer this brutally tragical nightmare, because they were super wrong. 1000% wrong. Because that cruise is not that damn boat ship is not going to wait for you. Get the hell out of here. As you don't know, it's not just Norwegian will leave you. All the cruise ships will leave you behind. They will all leave you. All of them will leave you. All of them will leave you. Yeah. All will leave you. And you're on your own. You're going to have to figure some shit out. When I travel, I know when to get. I do leave my passport on the ship, because I don't need it. But I should bring it just in case. The main thing is this: do not be late coming back, and that's what I usually do. I get back at a certain time. I just mentioned that. I'm never late. I'm never late coming back. Mommy, do I feel bad for them? I mean, a little bit. I mean, I'm trying to figure out this thing. I'm trying to figure out this stuff, because I'm trying to make sense out of it.
this is where they failed.
I don't think Norwegian failed. I think you guys failed. Just like you guys failed your children. Just like, because y'all the ones put your children in this position. They didn't fail. You guys failed coming back. You guys failed getting back. You guys failed the time. You guys failed keeping track of time. You can't point fingers at others for your own personal mistakes or downfalls.
Gosh.
They didn't do that.
You've clearly done your homework and you've got it in writing. Take us through that day. What was going through your mind when you found out the ship had left without you and your family? Were you...
Sir, they did not get back on time. That's what really happened. That did not get back on time. I mean, people, they have talked about this. They have talked about this. They have discussed this. They have discussed this multiple times. I think Pete Raza Goldberg or something. Give yourself a reasonable time. You can't be late. I'm gonna play this video. I'm gonna play that video right after, if I don't forget. Hopefully.
Angry? Were you sad? Were you confused? What was the overall emotion there?
Shock.
We were just in shock. We're pretty seasoned travelers, and we just went into crisis management mode. You know, food, shelter,
Clothes,
clothes,
hygiene products,
yeah, and then
medication.
trying to find something for the kids to do so that we could focus on the logistics, because I reached out to NCL and everybody was empathetic, but nobody knew what to do, and the answers we kept getting was, we'll send emails. And really what I want to come from this is I want NCL to stop advocating their responsibility and own up to the weak points in the process, fix the system so that cruise travel is safe for families in large groups. It's a great way to travel because you have access to exotic, remote places in the world you wouldn't otherwise have access to. And but on the flip side, situations can become really critical really quickly. You know, thankfully, nobody was on cardiac meds or anything like that, life-sustaining medication, that this could have been so much worse. And I think that's really the purpose of us sharing our story, is not necessarily what we went through, because
It sucked.
but
It could have been a lot
Yeah.
worse. Somebody could have lost a life. Somebody could really got injured. So I think that's why we want to get this out so bad, is that obviously there's holes in the cruise line industry, and I'm sure it's not just NCL. This has to be addressed, or it's going to happen again. This has happened.
Yeah, if you're late. If you're late, of course this thing always happens if you're late. It's not just guys, like on the real, like it's not just Norwegian. It's not only Norwegian. All cruise line ships will leave you. All of them will leave you. All of them will leave you. If you're not back at that Docks Pier port on time or at a certain time, all of them, you will get left behind. It's not only Norwegian. All of them will leave you. Each and every last one of them will leave you. Royal Caribbean, Carnival, Royal Caribbean, Carnival, Norwegian, Princess, the MSC cruise line, Celebrity cruise line, the Margarita cruise line, even though it's the worst cruise line, but they'll leave you too. There's Disney cruise lines, Krista cruise lines, the Costa cruise line, Ocean cruise lines. Each and every last one of these cruise ships will leave you. All of them will leave you. So with that being said, as steady these two taking responsibilities for their action and standing up and accepting their mistake, their mistakes, and accepting their downfalls and instead of facing up to their faults, they want to go on the national news media. They want to go on national television, on the news media, and talk about how Norwegian is this and that. Norwegian is a nightmare. I mean, just trying to, they might be trying to get people to not ride with Norwegian. But instead of them admitting to their mistakes, yes, you know, I think we lost track of time. We lost track of time. We just didn't realize it, because that's what I think. That's what really happened. That's what I think what really happened. And to these two couples, these married couples, all cruise line ships will leave you. Norwegian will leave. It's not only Norwegian. All cruise line ships will leave you. Royal Caribbean, Carnival, the MC Cruise Line, American Holland Cruise Line, Celebrity Cruise Line, the Disney Cruise Lines, the what else? The Virgin Cruise Lines. They'll leave you, even though that's an adult cruise, but they'll leave as well. They'll leave as well, because the cruise line has a contract schedule. There's a contract and there's a schedule that got to keep up. If you are not back at that Docksport Pier on time or at a certain time, it's going to take off, either with or without you, and it's going to leave you behind, and you will be stuck at this place. You're going to be stuck at this place, and that's and all the faults falls in your hands. So instead of these two admitting to their mistakes and accepting facing up to the downfall and accepting their faults, accepting their downfalls and facing up to their own faults, they want to point fingers and they want to blame the cruise lines. They had this discussion so many times. It's not the cruise line, it's not the crew, it's not the people that work there, it's not the pilots or the captain's fault. It's nobody's fault but yours. All the faults falls in your hands. So what I think would happen, if they went to see the show and they went to do this and certain things, and I believe they have lost track of time. They lost track of time and didn't realize it. So once they got back to the bus stop, once the bus was here, the bus said we can't take any more passengers, even though there should have been the same passengers. There should have been the same passengers back on that bus. But the bottom line is they shouldn't have been late in the first place. They shouldn't have been late to begin with, because none of this wouldn't have happened, and they would have been sitting here telling their so-called wildness story. So whatever happened, it was their fault. It was their fault. It was their fault. They didn't want to put the children in this situation. They didn't want to put the children in this brutal, predictable, madness. I mean, sleeping on the floor, sleeping on the ground. I mean, no food, no money, no food, no nothing. Before any of this happened, they should have looked at the time. When is the ship is going to be arriving, and when will the ship will be leaving? And in the beginning of this conversation and the interview, they should have asked them, didn't you guys see the time? Didn't you guys check the time? Didn't you guys know what time it was? Were you guys paying attention to time? Were you guys staying track on time? That's what the news people should have asked them. That's what they should have asked them.
2 or 3 times now just this year with NCL. Now, I don't know if it's just a call that they make instantly, or if there's a breakdown in communication between that port authority and the ship, but it's got to be fixed.
I hear you. I mean, I read a little bit more.
The only thing, nothing has to be fixed. The problem is already solved. Just don't be late. Get back on time or at a certain time, and get back on time. If the ship leave at 5 o'clock, you want to be back between 3 o'clock or 3:30. If it leaves at 5 o'clock or 4 or 5:30, you got to get back at a certain time. No matter what it is, you got to get back at a certain time. And if you guys couldn't get on the bus, right? If they couldn't get on the bus, damn it, then they should have called for. They should have called in for Uber or Lyft. They should have did a Lyft or Uber. I don't know how long the ride would take, or they should have taken a cab, because it was either 10. It was like a 10 to 15 minutes drive. And hopefully pray they make it back. So I mean, these are the downfalls that they have to face for the rest of their lives.
About your story before we were talking with you guys, and I understand, you went on this excursion, you were prepared and in line to get on the tour bus back, and they turned you away.
Yeah, we were there.
Exactly.
Yeah, we were there.
So I can't imagine just what was going through your head.
Then why would the bus leave you guys? Why would the bus leave you guys if you guys were there? If you guys were there, y'all should have been the first. They should have been the first ones there. They should have been one of the first ones there. This family, they should have been the first ones there.
Again, to your point, happy that everyone is okay. You had your kids
Well,
with you,
home,
but also too, in that misstep, you weren't able
safe
to continue the cruise up.
But next time the route with Norwegian, or not just Norwegian, any cruise line, but don't try to put Norwegian out of business. Don't try to go in the news media and talk about how Norwegian is a terrible service, it's a bad service. I mean, because all you have to do is get back at a certain time. Because the reason why Norwegian left you guys, because you guys were late. And it's not just Norwegian will leave you out. I mean, all the cruise line ships will leave you. Each and every last one of them, they will leave you behind. American Highland Cruise, American Highland Cruise, the Celebrity Cruise, the MSC Cruise, the Princess Cruise, all of them will leave you. Each and every last one of them will leave you. If you don't ride with Norwegian, fine. If you don't ride with Norwegian again, fine. But all of them will leave you. All of them will leave you. So next time they cruise, next time they take a trip, and next time they take a boat trip, please get back on time or before time. Get back at a certain time to avoid all this wicked, brutal madness, nightmare happening.
Into Canada, right? So that was another missed opportunity. Grandfather, he's been on a cruise up through Alaska and Canada. He said it's the most beautiful thing he's ever been on. So I know what that might have felt like for you.
Yeah, he was on time.
We appreciate you telling your story. Now, I will say, Norwegian did, in fact, respond to your story, offering compensation, reimbursing for those out-of-pocket expenses, refunding the U.S. custom fees, prorating, the days in which you've missed because of this incident, to each family member, also receiving a 20% discount for future cruises. After all of this, are you going to take them up on the offer, and are you going to take another cruise?
We are hoping to work with
Ma'am,
NCL.
every cruise, ma'am, all cruise ships will leave. All cruise ships will leave. These cruises, they got a time schedule to keep up. Just like I said, they got a time schedule to keep up. They have a big contract. All cruise ships will leave you. It's not only Norwegian. It's not only Norwegian. All of them will leave you. All these cruise ships will leave you behind. If you don't have your behind back to the docks pier port on time, then they're gonna leave you. Then you're going to get your butt left there, and you'll be stuck the hell over there.
I think where their response falls short is owning the responsibility and a commitment to fix the problem. Because we're not interested in,
The only problem would be fixes. I mean, they shouldn't have been late in the first place. That was the problem. They started the problem. They created the problems. And left the children in this position. Left the children in more problems. They the ones had to suffer. I'm sorry.
Just this continuing to happen. We need clarification on what exactly is their guarantee. Is their guarantee that if you book through them and something goes awry, they they can choose to hold the ship, and if they choose not to, then save your receipts and maybe you'll get reimbursed. And then
all they had to do was stay track of time. All they had to do was stay track of time. All they had to do was to keep up with time. That's what they should have did. That's what exactly they should have did. That's what they should have done.
all the logistics are on you, because that was our experience. And if that's not their guarantee, then they need to fix it so that it doesn't continue to happen to other people, because a lot of people are spending premium price or
Of course. Too much money being spent. Too much money being spent. Y'all don't want it to happen to other people. Then why? Y'all don't want it to happen to other people. Then they gotta be stupid people just like them. They gotta be stupid people just like them. I mean, Carmen, once you play these stupid games, you're gonna win these stupid prizes. That's exactly what happened.
paying the premium prices for these reassurances, and that's what we did. And
if you can't guarantee it, it's kind of pointless, at that point. I mean, this is, in my opinion, a contract that they agreed upon when we paid our fees to board that ship. So that's where our concern is.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate you guys sharing your story with us. Hopefully getting the word out.
Yeah, this thing that happened, what will you guys do now? This thing that happened. And nobody's gonna wait for you. Nobody's gonna wait for you. That ship had to go. That ship was on a contract. All ships will leave you. All ships will leave you if you are not back at the cruise docks, period. All ships will leave you. That ship had to go.
This doesn't happen to anybody else in the future.
It won't happen to anybody else if they're not late.
We wish you all the best in figuring out the rest of the matter, and of course, best rest of the summer for your.
So next time, be smart. I mean, they look like smart people, but they gotta be smart. Yes, they lost track of time and didn't realize it. I think his wife and his and the elder daughter, I think they were fooling around. I think they were BS. That's what this could have happened, or they just lost track of time when they went to see a show. If you were staying at a hotel, right? You were staying at a hotel in Alaska, you can stay as long as you want. But damn, if you're coming from a cruise ship, you got to be back on time. And if the cruise ship arrives let's say I'm gonna say like 7, and it's gonna be at least at, well, I'll say 3 o'clock. So let me do the math here. 7, 8. So that's 9 hours. So that gives you plenty of time to get back. Yes, it's going to be there all day, but it's not going to be there the whole entire night. It's not going to be there all night because it's going to go later. That ship is going. Let's say it arrives at 8 o'clock and it's going to be leaving at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock. So 9, 10, 12, 13. No, so 9, 10, 12. That's 9 hours to get back. 10 hours to get back if it was leaving at 6. You got they had all this time. They had all this time to get back, and never ever paid attention to the time. Never stayed on time. So that, I mean, next time be smart.
Kiddos before they're back to school.
Absolutely. You guys be safe as well. Thank you so much.
That's Joshua and Kaylin Galt.
Yeah. So I mean, bro. And there's another video. There's another video where some couples left. Some couples left behind. Oh, that's the wrong one. This one. Oh, it's never. Okay.
Hey, wait for us! A couple frantically tries to stop a cruise ship from leaving without them. The tourists were enjoying
Now you hear the guy I shouted no. And they were 45 minutes late.
A day-long excursion in the Bahamas. They were supposed to return to the ship by 3:30 p.m., the last call for all passengers. But they showed up at the dock 45 minutes late, and the hatch was already closed.
That sucks.
It was the last
Well, this is what happens when you're late. This is what, that happens.
day of a 7-night cruise aboard Royal Caribbean's Symphony of the
Okay, that was Symphony of the Sea. Yeah, all cruise ships will leave you. Just like I said, all cruise ships will leave you.
Seas, the world's largest cruise ship. The voyage started in Miami and made several stops in the Caribbean, Bahamas. This isn't the first time passengers have been left behind by cruise ships.
That is someone that has missed the boat.
That's what she get. That's what she get. But
Of the seas.
go back.
Hey, wait for us. A couple frantic
No, right, okay.
have been left behind by cruise ships.
That is someone that has missed the boat.
A desperate mom drops to her knees after she gets stranded. Making matters worse, her 3 children are still on board.
She has her kids on the boat, and she's not on there.
CBS travel editor Peter Greenberg has this
Peter
advice
Greenberg, yeah.
for all cruise ship passengers.
Give yourself a 90-minute rule. The 90-minute rule is when they tell you the ship is sailing at 6, get back at 4:30. There are no repercussions to the cruise line. It's in the cruise line's contract. You can't be late. The cruise line is going to sail. But the rules are the rules. You miss the ship, you're chasing it.
And if you do get left behind,
The responsibility falls entirely back to you.
so next
See that?
time, remember to get back. Don't
do you
end
hear
up
that?
like these people.
You see that? And do you hear that? Do you hear that? Alright, I'll be done with this video. This is a long video. But there's some people, you know what I mean? There's some people who just gotta be smart, you know what I mean? Some people just gotta be smart. Can't be fooling around with time like that, man. I mean, you can't, that's nothing to play with. That's nothing to play with.
That is some.
Protocol and waited an additional half hour. It was decided the husband would disembark with their travel documents to wait for his wife, the cruise line said. Travel expert Mark Murphy.
Mark Murphy. Listen to what he has to say. Listen to what he has to say.
It's the woman's fault for not getting back on time. It's not the cruise ship's fault. It's not the captain's fault. It's not the cruise line's fault. Everybody knows the posted time to get back, and that ship is on a schedule, and it's going to go.
Some passengers wanted the ship to turn back.
All right, but that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. No way. No way, Jose. It's not going to happen. Anyway. Yeah. So So that's the lesson. I mean, I spoke about this family. I mean, at least they're back. At least they're back home. I hope they're fine. I hope they're doing good. I hope everything is fine with them. Next time, stay in track of time. Stay alert of time. Alert time. You never play with the cruise ship's time. Never play around with the cruise ship's time. You get back at a certain time. So with that, we're gonna end on this. Peace, bless to you all, salute, and last but not least, job.